All right, I'm 365 days of horsemanship, day 112. So I'm here in the New Forest. You can see just here, little New Forest pony in the background. So very, very cute, very, very beautiful place. So day 112, I travelled up to the New Forest. I came in the morning to see the horses, and I'd had the previous 2 days where I'd been a little distracted on my phone and very tired, and so I just wanted to check in with them before I left. Mia, the previous 2 days, I had felt that maybe me being slightly less interested had potentially spiked her curiosity a little bit, and actually when I came up to her, she was really interested. It was also sort of like just a lucky opportunity that she was pretty near the fence, but she saw me, and actually she came and walked over to me at the gate, and just saw me and just had a little nose touch, check in, and yeah, just had a little quick scratch and a walk together. Flowed together while she was grazing. It was good. It did feel good. It did feel really good. I went to Lawrence and had a really nice nap. Had a really nice nap with him. Just came in, no pressure, didn't have the halter with me. And just played around. What do you need? He came to meet me, and then it was like, what do you need? Scratches. And then I asked if I could have a little yield, just rock his hindquarters into a better feeling, and then another little massage, little scratch, and then he went to sleep. And I was able to rest with him, which is really lovely, because it definitely felt like these last couple of days that I'd had where I hadn't really felt that I'd given him my best, that I'd been quite tired and quite distracted, to feel like that it was okay, and I hadn't, done any real damage to our relationship, and that the money was still in the bank account and everything was fine. Maybe I hadn't deposited anything, but I hadn't withdrawn anything either, and it was okay. And not every day can be an amazing learning, growing day where I deposit a load of money and everything's great. So that was good. Got in the car off to the New Forest to see Elsa. And it was only really when I started driving down and I was listening to some of Elsa's videos on Patreon on my way, listening to her latest freedom-based learning salon on the way down, which is really interesting. And which was about how do you create qualities in yourself as a human that you feel that you need to train horses well. And it was really interesting to see everybody's ideas about that, and Elsa's ideas about that, and it was definitely really enjoyable. I'd highly actually recommend her Patreon. It's probably one of the better subscription services I've ever been involved with from a horsemanship perspective, for sure. There's videos every week. It's a real variety. It's very honest and open, and it's really what she's working on at that time, and so it's very current and very interesting. So that was good. Came down and came for her evening talk, camped up in my campsite, went to the beach actually, which was really nice. Came here about lunchtime, headed down to the beach for a couple hours, sat on the beach, went in the sea, just tried to decompress a little bit, de-stress, had a little nap on the beach, got myself a little sunburn, went and pitched my tent, and headed over to Tarfield Equestrian for Elsa's evening talk, which it was so nice just to see her. It was really so nice to see her. And Elsa has this like fascinating energy where it's like actually, we talked about it after the talk. Like, I just find it very easy to get distracted very quick, to get exhausted of doing the same thing. Whereas when I'm with Elsa, it's like I can do this thing. I can watch her play with the horses, and I can watch her speak about things for hours and hours. And I just said to her, like, I wish I could take that home with me. Like, I wish I could just bottle that energy and take it home with me. Because if I had that ability to stick with it for hours and hours, like I can when I watch you do it, I just would be like exponentially further than I am now, you know, because one of my biggest struggles, as some of you know, is just being able to really consistently put those long periods of time in, because I just find that I burn out so quickly. And it was really nice to get to speak to her about that. It was really nice to get to discuss that with her. And like always, you know, I feel like I come to her with very complicated, complex problems, because that's how they feel to me. And she gives me a really simple answer. And she said to me, well, you know, it's not very surprising really, you know, considering that you're an extrovert. And I was like, And it was really interesting. And she'd said to me, you know, if you have to deal with everything right now, you can't put anything in the box and leave it for later and save it and hold it up like introverts do. Because obviously introverts, you know, they take a problem, they store it inside, they go, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. They keep storing problems and they keep storing problems until suddenly it's not fine anymore. And if you're an extrovert, you know, you do the opposite of that. And you have to deal with everything right now. You know, you need to make a decision and you need to fix something right now. And I'm very like that, you know. And she said, well, it's not surprising that you're exhausted after 10 or 15 minutes, because you're trying to fix everything now. You're not putting anything on the shelf for later. You're constantly trying to do everything all the time. And I'm like, that's really interesting. It's a really interesting, very simple answer to a big, complex problem that I thought that I had, that I think I do still have, you know, because it's very easy to say, well, you just need to be more like an introvert. Very difficult to actually become more like that if it's not something that you've ever practiced. I think it's also woven in with a perfectionist nature. And I think I wouldn't say it's a fear of making a mistake, because logically I know that mistakes are the only way to success, because you have to learn by doing. But it's like a discomfort. Like it's I find it very uncomfortable to make a mistake. I find it very irritating and uncomfortable. And so I don't really allow myself often the opportunity to learn, because I'm not open to making mistakes. I just want to do the things I'm good at over and over again, and not really try the things I don't know about, because I know I'm likely to get it wrong a few times. But actually that's not the way to learn. I need to start trying things. I need to start doing things, remembering things. Yeah. So that was, I mean, it was just amazing. It was just amazing to see her. I just felt like it was a big weight off my mind, I think. A big weight off my mind. The talk was brilliant. I think there were two things that stood out for me for the talk. I think freedom-based training is the kind of thing that I can listen to the same talk over and over again and always take away something new, always take away something that I didn't think about last time, or I didn't think about in that way last time. And, you know, this time I think two things that I took away that were really powerful for me. The first one was figuring out how to deal with other horses in the herd with Lawrence. I think I've always been of the mindset that if I'm working in the herd with one horse, then I don't talk to any of the other horses, and I just talk to that horse. And that's never really given me any ideas or any way to deal with the other horses when they try to interact with Lawrence while I'm there. And so I've always done that with dominant leadership. I've always done that by pushing the other horses away. And Lawrence is one of those horses where he gets beaten up quite a bit. And that happens because he doesn't really have very good social skills. He wasn't socialized very well when he was young. And one of the things he does is if a horse comes towards him, he runs away, immediately runs away. And of course, this horse then chases and is like, well, what are you doing? Like, why aren't you coming? And gets more and more irritated and frustrated. And then he ends up getting bitten because he can't run away as fast as some of the other horses. And he's of course terrified, and this horse kind of just thinks that it's play. And then he'll come back again the next time, the same thing will happen. He'll do the same thing all over again because he's terrified again. And Elsa talked about the horse that started her with freedom-based training, or the horse that inspired her, which was this horse that had come into the herd, and every horse that had come up to speak to it for 2 weeks, it didn't really talk to anyone. It just walked and walked and walked all day. And then any horse that came near it, it would say hello, and then it would walk past its tail and go back round again. And it did this for 2 weeks until it could work out where it should be for every single horse in that herd. And every other horse loved this horse. It was like, this is great. Like, this guy really makes good decisions, makes me feel good. He's in the right place at the right time. And I just realized that actually, when you're coming into play with a herd, and I also talked about this with somebody else, and I was like, this is what I need to be doing with Lawrence. So you come into the field, if you're playing in the herd, the first thing you should be doing is looking at the herd, making sure everyone's doing okay, making sure everyone's feeling okay. If anyone's unsettled, then it's about just coming, walking past them, helping them to feel better. When the herd feels settled, then you can go speak to this other horse. And if other horses come to you while you're having the conversation with the horse you're playing with, just walk past them, walk past their tail, come back round again. If they're still uncomfortable and they still want to speak to you, then again, just do it again and again until they feel like they're in a good place and they're settled. And I was like, this is what I need to be doing. This is a great way to be a good example for Lawrence, to be a good leader for him, because I can't rely on him to show me how a horse should act. And so I need to learn how to be a good lead mare. And I've talked about this a lot before, how to be a leader, how to be a lead mare. And this is definitely a technique that I need to use to be one of those great horses, to be one of those good lead horses. So that was really great. I felt like that was something I could really go home with. That was a new technique that I could try and use. And yeah, I think the thing is I got to put it on the shelf. I've got to tuck it away and just keep it ready for the next time that I need it, rather than trying to create a situation where I need to do it, because I think that that's sort of the antithesis of what it's for. So that's good. So that's really good. And I think the other thing that I really learned from Elsa's talk, which I've been thinking for a while, is that I just need to commit to more time with Mia. I just need to commit to walking for 45 minutes, for an hour, for whatever I need to, until she focus changes, because she will focus change at some point naturally from that grass. And if I just walk and walk and walk and walk and walk and walk, and when she focus changes, I stop and I go into flow with her, that's powerful. That's the core of it. And I can try to find quicker ways to do it. I can try to find shortcuts, but the reality is that will work. It will work. And I know it will work. And I just need to commit to doing it if I want it to work. Tame my wild and have patience, because it's the patience I don't have. I do not have that patience. I wish I did, but I don't. And I think it's okay to do other things while I'm doing that, as long as I'm able to focus on Mia as well. I think maybe I'm going to try and build my workout into that time. I think that will work quite well. But yeah, I feel good about it. I feel really good about it. I think it was the answer I wasn't hoping for, but I'm also happy to have the answer. I was hoping the answer would be, there's a quicker way to do it. It's not how it works in freedom-based training. It's the horse's timeline. And I think that the more freedom I give her, my past experience tells me the faster it happens, the faster she learns. And I think that's going to be the key for her. That's going to be the most powerful thing, is if she can unlock that for herself, if she can start realizing that she can train me, that I'm just making my own decisions and I have no wishes or desire for her at all. I'm just walking and I'm happy and I can walk all day and it's entirely up to her. And then she feels that she has that power in the conversation to control her environment. I think that would be really key for her, because I think that's the thing, is I think the environment for her has just always been really uncomfortable and scary and concerning. I think since she was, since she was young, since she was trained, since whenever all of this started, the outside world, outside of when she's eating, is scary and uncomfortable and dangerous, and she has no control over it. And so she'd rather just eat and eat and eat and just accept the fact that it's uncontrollable and terrible things happen all the time, which is why she's so sort of blank stared to anything you'll do to her, because you're doing it to her while she's eating. You can put a lot of pressure on. I can put a lot of pressure on while she's eating and she'll completely ignore it. Because she's just like, it's okay, life is like this, the world is uncomfortable and I have no control. And I think if I just walk and walk and walk with no expectations, and she focus changes and I stop and go into flow with her, and she starts to realize that she's in control of that, I'm not trying to impact it at all, she's in control, I think that could be the key to unlocking this for her. And I've just got to commit to it. I've just got to commit to it. I feel the same way about it as I felt when I realized I needed to do this project. It was like, yep, there's no other way. There's no other way. You've got to do consistency. You've tried every other way. You've got to do it. And I think that I feel the same way about that. And I feel good about that. I feel really good about that. So yeah, I better finish this up because I've got to head over to Tilefield for the last day. So really excited to see how the horses progress, and film those videos later.